Greetings, fellow Fallen Kingdom enthusiasts. I'm Relic Evitz, and I decided to go ahead and make a tutorial how-to video for my Minecraft Noteblock series. Some of you have been asking for that, and so I decided to go ahead and do it. It's also sort of a 100 subscriber celebration sort of thing. I don't know. It's not a lot of subscribers, but I think it's kind of crazy that I just made a channel to post a couple things that I thought were pretty neat, and all of a sudden I have 100 people subscribed and waiting to see more. So, thank you guys. Special shout out to Chaos Sampy for being my 100th subscriber. Thank you guys. And this is a tutorial video for my next Minecraft video. So I've been working on Find the Pieces. You can see it over here, obviously. And I've got a big chunk of it done already, and I'm about to start working on the chorus. And so I thought it would be neat to sort of do at least a couple measures with you guys and show you my process. So before I get started in that, I wanted to show you, this is sort of the setup I use. I have Minecraft obviously open in the front here, and then I have several web pages. First I have the YouTube video that I'm working off of, so Find the Pieces here. We're at about the 2-minute mark. We're about to go into the chorus, and so that's the part. I'll listen to it a couple times to sort of try to hear what's going on and replicate it. The next, I have my channel up, so I can like, subscribe, hit that notification bell, all the fun stuff. Then I have the Minecraft Noteblock wiki page up, or the Minecraft wiki Noteblock page up. For this section right here, it tells me which materials I have available, what instruments they sound like, and then importantly, what octaves they play in, so that I can match things on the staff better in game. And then I use this a lot to help me know how many times to click each note block. I got a couple of them memorized. The most common A flat in treble clef is 14, B flat 16, and I've been using D flat a lot in this song, so 19. So I've got a couple of them, but this is really helpful for when I find a note I don't know. And then these next couple tabs are really my secret sauce, you could say. There's a website called MuseScore where people upload their own just instrumental creations, and people have already created their own versions of Find the Pieces. I also found one for Fallen Kingdom, and I think I could only find one for Take Back the Night. But this is really helpful because I don't have a great ear for music, so I can't just tell, like, oh yeah, that's this chord. So using this is really helpful. And then I found a second one. This one's a little bit over the top. They use 10 different instruments, so it's only one measure per page, and it's a little bit harder to follow. But this one is helpful for some of like the smaller melodies and stuff that they captured here. So I'll go back and forth between these, and then I have an image of labeled staff pulled up just because I don't have, particularly bass clef, I don't have memorized, and then telling what octave it is. So pretty much my process is, where are we? We are, alright, right about here is I think where we're working. Oh, maybe I went too far. Yeah, right here. So this is the first version of the chorus that happens in the song. So I'll look at these notes. If I need to, I'll go over here to find them on the staff, and then I jump back to the note block over here, make sure that the blocks I'm using are in the right octave, and then tune them correctly. And then once I've done a couple measures, I'll watch the video and compare it to my Minecraft version. I try to match the tone as close as I can. Doesn't always work because I don't have processing or anything like that. So yeah, let's jump right into it. And I apologize if my voice is quiet. I don't have a good mic, so this is I'm trying to project a little bit, but we'll see how this goes. Alright, so when I find the pieces, and then that's this measure right here. So that matches up with this measure here. And there's a little teaser for you. I'm not going to give you the rest of this because you can wait for the full release to come out. We don't need to And then let's just watch a little section of this video to see what we are working with.
Put the puzzle back together, see what I'm dreaming. When I find the pieces.
Alright, I think that's 4 measures. I think that's about what I'll do. So the first and the easiest thing I noticed is there's a heavy bass line that just every beat there's a bass hit. So I was sort of using this little area right here. I try to keep my instruments organized so that it's easier for me to follow. And then let's map out one measure here, which one measure has room for 8 blocks. So I space it out so that it's in 1/8 notes, which is usually enough. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and then 8 will be right here. So that's one measure. And then I'm going to need stone because that's the bass instrument. So it hits on every beat, which since I'm working in 1/8 notes is every other block. And then I'm going to do it down here as well so that I can play 3 note blocks off of one redstone pulse at the same time. And this part I'll build manually because I might as well. I don't have to tune them to particular notes. And then what I normally do for a bass line like this, where it's not a bass drum doesn't have a tone necessarily, so I'll just find like the lowest, one of the lowest notes that I know is in the key I'm working in. So A flat is a note that's in this key, so I'll just tune all of them to 2, and that won't cause any problems with any other instruments, but it's still a bassy note. Alright, so there's that. That's one measure. And then I can just, here's my second trick, is cloning is your friend. So cloning from the block in the ground to make sure I get the stone that's in there all the way to, I think right here is where I need to go. And then starting right here, if I paste it, there's a second measure, and I've been using for this song, you'll see it in the full version, but each section of the song is marked off by a different color of wool, or in this case I went ahead and used netherrack because the scene in the video transitions to the nether. So that's a second measure, and then I think we're just going to do 4 measures today, so there's a third. Oh, I want to 1, 2, 3, 4. Here we go. Make sure I mark off my measures so that it's easier later when we add other instruments to tell where I am. And then 4th measure right here. All right. So, and then I'm not sure if I'll do sometimes I do an additional break if I'm adding or subtracting a lot of instruments, so I'm not sure if I'm going to need that, but for right now we'll leave it that way. Alright, so here's 4 measures. There's our bass line. And then probably the next easiest thing to do is the vocals, which at the beginning of this there's not many vocals, but there is sort of still a melody line. So if you go right about here.
When I find the pieces.
So yeah, no vocals, but there is sort of a melody. And if I play the MuseScore version, you can hear that it's the treble clef version, I think. Alright, so that sounds pretty much the same, so I don't think there's any. Sometimes there's discrepancies and I have to try to figure out how to change it, but it doesn't look like there's any of that here. So I'm just going to start building it. So I normally scroll down there so I can see it while I'm in Minecraft. And the first measure, there's nothing, so that's 2 empty redstone spots. And then on the second beat, there's a hit, which is just dirt for the piano. And then here it gets a little bit weird. There's a full eighth note, which is 2 repeater ticks, and then another hit. But then that's a 16th note that goes into the next hit, but then I see there's an extended space after that. So those 2 notes right here is what I'm looking at, should take up the same space as 2 eighth notes, because it's a 16th note and then a 3/16th note. So what I'm going to do is, instead of doing some weird out of line stuff, I'm just going to put 1 tick here and 3 ticks there, and then build it this way. And then you have the hit that's on the beat, the hit that's on the 8th note in that beat, or the and of that beat, and then it quickly goes to the next hit, but then there's going to be a longer wait period until the and of the next hit, which this lines up where it should be again. And then there's just 2 more 8th notes, and it's the end of our measure. And so I can go ahead and put down repeaters and note blocks, and then I start tuning them. And so these are a couple of the ones I have memorized. That first 2 notes are a C, which is an 18. So if you open up F3, you can see on the right side, it actually tells you what note you're tuned to. So I'll just manually tune these up to 18. If there's a large number of blocks that are the same note in a row, I'll sometimes clone them, but it sort of just depends. So 18, 18, and then it drops down to B flat, which is a 16 I mentioned earlier. And then it keeps going down to a 14, that's the A flat. And then it goes even lower. That F I happen to know is 11. And then back up to 14. And there you go. So that's those notes, and then I'll play it. And that sounds about right. And then what I'll do is I'll close F3 because I can't see a gosh darn thing. And I will clone my selection of blocks and paste it on either side. And this works better with instruments that don't have anything under them. So this would be harder with the bass because I'd have to clone the dirt and it would get weird. But for right now, I can just do this, and then it should sound about 3 times as full. And then I'll just keep going. So the next measure, there's nothing on the first beat, nothing on the almost nothing on the second beat. So the first hit of the second beat is also empty. But then there's a hit on the last 16th note of the second beat, which is a little bit weird. But so I'm going to work backwards a little bit. I know I need the last 3/8 notes here. Oh, I don't like turning into grass. That just looks ugly. All right, and then there's going to be the irregular amount of 8th note space, but then an extra little bit here. So that note block's going to be here. That's the dotted one that you can see here. And then there's an extra, so it's going to look like that. And so sometimes I can visually represent how it's off from the beat, but like back here it was too crowded to do that. There were notes on either side of it, so I just went and adjusted the repeaters a little bit to give the same effect. So now to tune these, I got an 11. I can count. Alright, 11, and then 14, 16, 14. And then I forgot to put in some of the repeaters, so I will do that. And then test it. And I like to test it from the beginning just to make sure I didn't mess up anything in the middle. that sounds right. And we can go ahead and test it with the bass as well. Alright, and then you can hear the bass drifting off into the distance. And then clone it so that it fills up again. And if you're not sure how I'm cloning so fast, you can go up to your previous commands where it'll save if you entered some coordinates. So this is the start and end point, and then if you press tab, it autofills the coordinate of the block you're looking at. So I can just press tab space tab space tab, and it fills in all the coordinates, and then I press enter, and it's all there. So then one more test. That still sounds good. And so we can move on to the third measure. And nothing on beat 1. Nothing. And then this is actually just, if you're looking at it, it's the exact same pattern as the last measure with different notes. So I can do the exact same thing I did there, where I had 1, 2, 3 repeaters. So then 1, 2, 3 repeaters. And a hit. And then I do 2 more weird repeaters because it's a little bit off. And then 3 more hits, and 1, 2, I forgot to mark this measure. Silly me. Right there. And then I normally, this marker would now be on this side. Forgot to flip. Alright. So then, put in the note blocks. Wire up the redstone. Everything else back there is done. Tune them. So this one is 11, 14, 16, 18. Alright, so there's my note blocks. I'll go ahead and clone it now because I'm pretty sure that this will work. So there's returning to my previous command, 3 tabs to fill it in. And then, and actually thinking about it, I don't even have to press space every time. The tab adds a space after each number for me. Alright, so there we go. And let's play. Alright, and you can sort of fill that in your head, I bet, if you've listened to this song as much as I have. But nothing on the first beat, and then that's actually looking at it again. It's the same pattern. So sometimes my job is pretty easy. So 3, yep, 3, and then the weird one. And then it's going to look like that. So there's your 4 notes, note blocks. And then this one, I think that's a 21 at the top. So that there that's an E flat because of the key. So E flat. So go over to the note blocks. E flat is 21. We're working in sort of this area, going up to the E flat is 21. So I'll go back to the score here. And then, so it's 21, and then 18, 16, 14. I can still count, in fact. Alright, so that's that. And then I can clone it. Clone it here. Something else you may have noticed when I'm in F3 is that I did this on purpose. The first song I did not set up this way, and it made things so much harder. But I set it up, a clone always places in the block that you use as the location for the clone is always the lowest value coordinate for all 3 x, y, and z of what you're cloning. So to make that more clear, if you see the little rotating thingy in the middle of my screen that the cursor turns into, when I'm in F3, wherever I clone, if this was the source for my clone where I want it to place, everything will be in front of it, to the right, and above it. So it'll all come out sort of that direction. So I line up my songs so that whenever I place something like this and I want to clone it, I place the block that I want to be the source for the clone at the same spot the first block I'm cloning will show up. Which, maybe that sounds like a no-brainer, but for my first song, for Fallen Kingdom, I was actually doing it the opposite way, because I didn't think about it beforehand. So if I wanted to clone anything, I had to count out the exact number of blocks that it was going to take up, and then place the block at the end, and let it clone backwards towards my build, which was dangerous and time-consuming. So there's another tip. If you're going to do something like this yourself, line up your world so that you're building towards in the direction of increasing X and Z values. Alright, so that's all 4 measures. Let's see how this sounds. Alright, that sounds pretty good. Now there's only one more thing I can think of for these 4 measures. Let's go back and watch the video one more time to double check.
Together, see what I'm dreaming. When I find the pieces.
Oh, let it go a little bit long there. But there's the bass line underneath. It's sort of it's just sort of a constant hum that's in there. But before we get to that, I want to double check. Yeah, I think the bass line is getting drowned out just a little bit. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to clone the whole thing from here all the way to the end here. Go ahead and get this last repeater in there to make sure I don't accidentally shorten my measure. And I'm going to paste it above the notes up here. So it's 3 blocks wide. Oh, I want to measure too far back. What I'm cloning is 3 blocks wide, and I want it to start in the ground. And so 1, 2, 3. I'm going to paste it right here, and then everything will spawn in front of and to the right of it, like I was talking about a second ago. Boom. So it's all perfectly lined up. It hits this redstone separator that I have, so this line will trigger everything here. If it gets too long, I might have to add another repeater, but we'll worry about that later. And the bass should sound a little bit thicker now. Alright, that sounds pretty good to me. Now, this last thing is the bass is the fun part, but also the most difficult part. So when it's just a constant bass like that, what I normally do, I'm going to need wood, oak planks, because that's the instrument that makes the bass noise. And right now my bass has been lined up down there, so I'll leave that blank for whenever something else comes back in. But the bass, when it's solid like that, I'll just do every 8th note gets the bass hit that's the same note. So actually I'll clone those later. That'll be easier to do than, because they don't change, than writing them all out. So let's look at the song here. They chose to write it this way, but it's the same chords as the beginning of the song, I think. So let's see. Like the rest of the song, it goes through these 4 chords, boom, and then it goes up, and then it goes down, and then it stays there. So this 4-measure pattern is the whole song. And then even when the muse score goes to 8th notes, it keeps it the same pattern. And then for these weird, like the pre-chorus kind of thing, it keeps the same pattern. And then these notes, it's just whole notes. So this 4-note pattern is probably the same. Looking this measure to that measure is the same. These 2 measures look like they're the same. Yep. Okay. So they broke it up to make it a little bit more rhythmic, probably because it's hard to play a bass guitar on the piano. But let's see what this sounds like. so they gave it a little bit more rhythm with the breaking up the chords like that. But I think the Fallen Kingdom video is just sort of solid chords, so we're probably not going to do it that way.
When I find the pieces.
Yeah, so the Fallen Kingdom video is just solid chords, and I'm going to assume that it's safe to use the same chords that I've been using the rest of the song, because that's usually how these things work. If I check the second Muse score I had pulled up, I gotta find the chorus. That's the hard part with this one. Seek it, feel it. Here we go. So then they build like this. Put the puzzle back together. Here we go. When I find the pieces. And then they did the same thing. I suspect that this 10 instrument piece copied off of the other one, but they have a lower. Nope, never mind. That's just, I think that's the same notes. Maybe an octave up? I'm not sure, but that note's definitely should be in the bass clef. They had an electric piano for some reason that's doing the same thing. So we're just going to use the same 3 notes. So I don't need to. And I might actually be able to, yep, I can copy them from here because it's the same. The pre-chorus has the same set of notes. So 1 measure. Actually, I don't want to copy it from right here because the last measure gets cut off. But we have, well, I can do it this way. So this is the 3rd, 2nd. Oh, wait. My measures go from here to there. So 1 measure, 2 measures, 3 measures. So I want to copy right here. So clone it from here all the way down to here, and then I'm going to have to clone the last measure again. And I want to paste it right here where this one starts. There. Oh, this nether rack wasn't out far enough. But so that's 1, 2, 3 measures, and then I'm going to clone from here to here. And if you want to place blocks on a notebook, you got to shift click so that it doesn't hold shift while you place the block, so it doesn't adjust the tuning. And there you go. And then make sure there's a repeater on the end. And let's see how this sounds. And then compare it to this.
When I find the pieces.
Alright, so my concern with what I've got right now is that, and let's just play the bass line for a second. This bass line, starting here, has at least one treble clef note that's played by the piano, which makes it sound higher than it really should. I like this first measure that's all bass, but then here it's, once you get into the second measure, it's a little bit put off. Actually, let's listen to the song one more time. I think I might have noticed something.
When I find the pieces.
Oh, okay. Never mind, it follows the same. I thought for a second it inverted the progression, but it doesn't. So, what I think I'm going to do, we got 11, 18, 23. I think the first measure is good, but what I'm going to do is the note blocks that are on dirt, it's like, whoops, that's a 2 and a 7. If I look at this, it's a 2 and a 7, and those are 3rd octave, like a an A flat 2 and a D flat 2. If we look at this, or no, those are 4, I think, because it goes, yeah, because see, the dirt block goes from F3 to F5, or F sharp 3 to F sharp 5, and so F sharp 3 would be right here, and so 2 would be A flat 3 and D flat 4. Okay, and I want those to be 1 octave lower, which would be A flat 2 and D flat 3, which is in the range, that's the upper range of the wood block, because the wood block peaks at F3. So we'd be looking at 19 and 14 for wood. So what I'm going to try is, and I'm actually going to destroy, I'm going to use fill to destroy one measure of these blocks so that I can clone them back the right way. There we go. So I'm going to want all of these to be wood, and I'll just manually replace these so we don't have to worry about cloning. And then, there we go. And now it's going to be, this note was an 11, I think. Let's check. This was the middle of this staff, which was a D. I'm on the second measure. Let's go check what this was. I thought it was an 11, but I could be wrong. So the second measure right here. Oops, I pressed some weird button with the, oh, it was 19. Okay. So wait. 1, 2, 3. Oh, okay, the first measure was 11, and then the second measure is 19. There we go. Okay. So the problem with that being 19 is that I was about to shift it to 19. So if we're going to shift everything down an octave, then the 19 would go down to 7. So I need a 7. And then this was the 2, and that was the 4. So the 2 is now a 14 because it's in a lower octave block. And then the 4 is now a 16. Wait, was it 4? Maybe it was 4. I'm saying 4, but I want to check what it was. So 19 to 7. Yeah. Okay. I know I said D flat, but I also said 4, so I wanted to double check. So it was 7. Now it's 19. You can add or subtract 12, and you'll get a new octave with note blocks. All right. Oh, I didn't even replace the first one. All right. But there is a hidden advantage to this. And that hidden advantage is that now I have 2 blocks to clone, which makes it a little bit faster. So I'm going to clone, because I already dealt with the stuff in the ground, I can clone from here to over here. We're going to want to put a, whoops, press the wrong key there. Put a repeater, clear my screen, and clone to here. And then paste it right here. And then a little trick I've figured out is that once I have that, I only need 4 more of it. So I can go back to the first one, use the same starting point, make a new end point, and a new clone location, and I'm done. So now let's see what that sounds like as all bass. So I kind of like that. And the only problem, I can't lower this set a full octave because the top 2 notes could go down, but then this note would be the same as that note, and I can't go any lower with the 11 is an F, and I'd need one more note here, which doesn't exist, and the wood is the lowest block. There is no F0 block, so I can't lower that anymore. But what I can do is, and I can leave this the way it is now, but then I can lower this octave, this whole section another octave, and see if that still sounds good. Because this goes down anyway, so you might not notice very much. But let's see. Starting here, the 14 can go down to 2, and then the 21, looking up here, 21 can go down to 9, and then the 2 on a dirt block, which is the 2 right above F3, can go down to the 2, which would, now this is F3 on a wood block. The next A is 14. So this will be 14. 14, like I said. And then we'll replace that with wood. And then I'll do the same for this one, delete the others, and clone like the last one. So 14. 9 and 2. Alright, and then delete the others and fill. Whoops. Fill like this. Oh wait, no, what am I doing? I wanted air. Alright, there we go. Fill like that. And then, so I don't have to worry about cloning the grass as well. And then take these two and do what I already did. That, and then same trick I used earlier. And that should sound pretty good. Let's see what it sounds like. I like that a lot. And so now, instead of having to remake the last measure, since it's just a clone of this measure, I can clone backwards if I want to right here. Make sure I include the dirt in this one because it changed between the measures. And then right here. And I don't see the difference, but the notes have changed to match accordingly. And so, if I go back to the beginning and play this, I really like how that sounds. So now, connect it back up and play it all together. Alright, there you go. Those are the 4 measures. I might tweak it a little bit and add a little bit more bass or something like that, but for now, that is what it's going to be. So, thank you for watching. I appreciate my subscribers again, and look forward to this video coming out in the next couple weeks. See ya.